I got chills, they're multiplying, and I'm losing control, 'cause the power that you're supplying, it's electrifying. Shape up, 'cause I need a man, and my heart is set on you. Shape up, better understand. To my heart I must be true. Nothing left for me to do. If you're filled with affection, you're too shy to convey. Meditate my direction. Feel your way. Shape up, 'cause you need a man. Man can keep you satisfied. Shape up, 'cause I'm gonna prove that my faith is justified. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure down deep inside. You're the one that I want. And you're listening to Dangerfield's Sunday Falling Over the Prescription. That's right, it's Dangerfield's Sunday Prescription. And what a treat. Oh, I'm peaking already. Let me turn the recording volume down. I told you not that long ago that the Grease classic, whatever that song's called, Shape Up, Meditate, I don't know what it's called, but I managed to dig out the original version, and I think you'll agree it's the weirdest of junkie anthems, but maybe they'll re-release the original one day. I'm ill. I'm sick. 'Cause I'm sick. There's not a thing I wanna do about it. Which isn't strictly true. I'm sick and there's lots I want to do about it, like dose up on paracetamol and ibuprofen. I'm not very good at being ill. This won't be a long podcast. I've said that before and rambled on for weeks, if not months, perhaps years. Perhaps I am just a rambler. Ramble on. And now's the time I'm gonna sing my song. Been round the world, I'm gonna find my girl on my way. It's been 10 years to the day. Sorry, I rely on the tunage when I'm not feeling 100%. Don't know why. You can always sit on a song though, can't you? You can always sit on a song. Huh? Have you ever sat on a song? Have you ever sat on a song? I forgot to turn my computer off, which means the whole damn podcast is going to have in the background. You've turned the baby into a wasp. Do you remember Tales of the Unexpected? Do you remember it though? Weren't they the days? I'll tell you what that reminds me of. Oh, because I'm ill. Oh, because I'm vulnerable. Oh, because it's crawling up my spine like a second sense. It's crawling all over me as if ants were memories. I remember being in my nan's flat. My nan's not flat, well, she's dead, but she had breasts, but she wasn't flat. But my nan had a flat. My nan and her boyfriend Bill. My nan and her boyfriend Bill lived in the flat in Northfleet on the 9th floor, 13 floors in total. There's 13 floors in this high rise. It was fucking vile, really. Smelt of piss, had a little lift. It used to scare the life out of me. And it overlooked a a waste disposal site, and in those days you could climb over the waste. What it wasn't even called a waste disposal site. Where have I got that from? That's Americana right there. What was it called? We used to call it the dump. My old man would go, "Come on, we're going up the dump," and we'd go up there, and you could climb all over it, not for fun, to pick shit up and take it home and not be able to repair it and take it back. I'm sure I've told you that. If I haven't told you, or you've forgotten, or you haven't listened, once, this is before BMXs. My old man come back from the dump with this orange German bike that had like springs and like what do you call it? What do you have a spring on a bike for? Come on, you know. How annoying that you know and I can't remember. Shock absorbers, that's it. And it was kind of more modern than a rally chopper, for instance. And I was like, no way! And he was like, my dad was like, yeah, don't worry, we'll get it all fixed up. You'll have the most amazing German weird crossbreed bike anyone's ever had. Sat in the shed for about 5 months, and then we took it back up the dump. But good times. I found my first, my dad actually found it. It was a retractable pen. Imagine how excited I was. Never had one before. It was a pencil, actually, obviously. No one would have retractable ink. That would be something, though, wouldn't it? Imagine a pen that had ink in it. You could press a button at the back, and the ink would go out into the ether, and then you could press another button and suck the ink back in. If you said to me, "Hey Chris, I've got a retractable pen," then I'd say that pen is good, which is a weird way of saying that penis good. Freud's on me, Lacan's on me, I'm all out, I've got nothing left to offer. But my first retractable pencil, the leads were thick, not like the retractable pencils these days, those little microfine thin leadeds that are like 0.3 or something. This was the normal thickness of a normal HB pencil, which was great when you were me, because you could nick a pencil from school, get home, hit it with a hammer, lightly with a hammer, or in the vice, and pull the lead out and stick it in your retractable pen, which kind of defeats the purpose in some ways. I mean, you're sacrificing a perfectly good pencil. Oh my God, I'm so hot. I've got about 10 layers on, but now I'm talking. I'm getting hot, so hang on. Oh, take that one off. That's my hippie top. I call it that because my cousin, whoops, my cousin bought that for me in India 23 years ago, and I still wear it. Does it say something about the quality of the smock or about the lack of quality in my life? That's for you to decide, honey. Yeah. Will you do that for me? Will you go home and tell your mama that you don't want to do it no more? Will you do that for me? Will you do that for me? Claire Rayner. Will you do that for me, Claire? Will you do this for me, Claire? Stop eating and shut it. Yeah, how about that? Me and Rayner would have a fight. It's up to you to decide. Would I win in a fight with Claire Rayner? I'm back to my nan's. In my nan's flat. So, right, what you've got to remember, well, you haven't got to, but it will help for the rest of the story. So I've got the little piss, the little piss travel lift, up to my nan's, and we'd get out, and it was kind of industrial. You know, those sort of, no one makes much of an effort with the communal areas in sort of high-rises, do they? They're just a bit pissy, a bit barren, a bit bleak. And then when you got into her flat, though, they were proper 70s. She had her, like, caftan on, a bit of, what's it, Demis Roussos. Ever and ever and ever and ever is the one. I'm in a what a time the 70s were. I can remember my mother playing that. What's it? It's Bit Abigail's Party, and it. Mike Lee, we love him. He walks around town all the time. One of these days, I'm going to go up to him and go, fucking love your films, Mike. I won't. Not yet, though. I haven't done it yet, is what I mean. But we'd go in there, she'd have her sort of psychedelic caftan on. And of course, because it was the 70s, it was dealing with the sort of, what do you call it? The dregs of the 60s, really. Like, all the acid heads who were taking loads of acid, obviously, in the 60s, ended up getting jobs in the 70s. And when they were told, oi, you got to design something for a caftan, they were so fucked and tripped out, they just threw all their old acid visions at it. So my nan's walking around in her 30 metres of psychedelic cloth. She had hair like fucking Marilyn Monroe, well, a bit more like Diana Dawes. She was a bit like Diana Dawes, my nan. Kind of glamorous, even when they drilled holes in her head and had to shave her head. She was like, no, you'll shave half of my head. And so she had half a perfect blonde, coiffured, kind of beautiful Diana Dawes Monroe-esque hair, and the other side a skinhead with like a big scar down it with fucking stitches in it. I mean, my nan went through it all. She She grew up in a pub, she worked in a pub, she drunk in pubs, and every time I went round there, she'd have a bottle of gin on her lap. And she'd be like, burp. She'd always burp, and she'd squeeze out little farts, bless her. And she was quite a chunky woman, but she'd just be knocking this gin back, and I got a Spanish auntie, my auntie's Spanish uncle Raymond, and she'd be visiting over there. So it's a real 70s thing to sort of bring back curios from Spain. Sorry, I just had to make sure the damn thing was recording. And so her house was littered with sort of Spanish items, little things on the wall. And they'd done that thing where people who used to come back from Spain would speak in the language for months after they got back. Like, they'd be like, uno, doso, oh, have you got any el manio? And everyone thought it was funny. But my nan, she did not stop drinking. And her boyfriend, Bill, he was all right. Bill, hello, Bill. And he had, like, the little swallows tattooed on his hands because he worked down the docks. And he'd always had a stubble that would fucking take skin off your face when you were fighting him. Not beating each other up, play fighting. And it was kind of exciting. I used to love going around there. And, of course, being on the 9th floor, you could look out. And not only did you have the dump and all the fucking seagulls... Northfleet's nowhere near the sea, but there'd be seagulls. There's no such thing as seagulls, is there? They're just gulls. And especially when they're in Northfleet, they're really not seagulls. But the gulls would be like, arr, 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 arr. It was like the intro to the Beatles' Tomorrow Never Knows. Arr, arr, arr. Open your mind, relax and float downstream. You're at your nan's. And I remember... I used to like sticking my head out the window because you'd be 9 floors up. It was fucking high when you're only 4'2" yourself. Not anymore. If you don't know me, I'm actually 6'2", but at the time, I'm going back a few years, I'd stick my head out the window. My nan would go, if the wind changes, your face is... No, I fucked it up. Fucked it. I used to like pulling stupid faces. Still do. I'm doing one now. Can you see it? You can hear that I'm doing it, can't you? And my nan said to me, if the wind changes, your face will stay like that. And I've looked round at my mum, which is what you've done as a kid. Like Mum, is that true? My mum would give me that little weird nod, yes. And so I thought, well, hang on. So I've gone to the bathroom. I'm looking in the mirror at the best possible stupid face I can find. And I've held it. And I sort of trotted back through the flat and stuck my head out the window, hoping that the wind would change and my face would stay like that. Some may say it did. How do I know? Perhaps the face I've got now is the face I chose as a wee nipper struggling to come to terms with his existence. My novel will be called Un Child's Ennui. Reflections of a Little Person. The mirror has dissolved, and I can only see forwards in reverse. Loved Nan's flat. Every time I left, she'd stick me a fiver as well. Nice one. Bang, straight on the palm. Usually chocolate, loads of hot chocolate. And if we were lucky, after they all got pissed, they'd let us start drinking, which I think is healthy for 8-year-old boys to be knocking back a few gin and tonics while the family laughs. And of course, the place was full of smoke, and so you could just breathe in and it would be like taking a cigar. Oh, and of course, being the 70s, they had an organ. Not one of those organs, of course they did have them. I mean, my nan slowly fell apart over her life. She had breast cancer, she had her womb taken out, they took half her hair off, then they took half her head off. She did not stop that gin, though. Oh, no. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't have a lug in the coffin. But I absolutely loved my nan, I'll tell you what. We weren't good friends, though. This isn't one of those lovely stories where she'd go to me, Christopher, you're going to be great in life, you know. No, none of that. No encouragement, nothing. Piss-taking, usual working-class aggro. What are you looking like that for, you stupid boy? All that, you're mental. But I did like her. I did love her because she was kind of... Yeah, can you imagine her sitting there looking like fucking Big Daddy in her psychedelic caftan and half of her Monroe hair with a bottle of gin in her hand, squeezing out farts, giving me a fiver. And also, I'll tell you what I remember, down just before the dump, there was a football pitch. And because we'd visit over on a Sunday... There would be like teenage boys down there, and I was fascinated by teenage boys. Of course I was 8 years old. I was looking for identification. I was looking what I was going to become. I had no future. I could not see. And so teenage boys, I had a fair idea that I was going to turn into something like that. So I was fascinated by them. And what was amazing was they'd be playing football on this pitch. Not like Sunday League or anything, just a few blokes having a kick about. But you could hear them, and you couldn't. I could hear them. And they were just sort of shouting at each other, and their voices were noticeably deep. And so I'd be sitting there and it'd be like, "Yeah, John!" And it was like slightly sort of distorted and obscured by distance and air. And it'd be like, "Oh, John, so you fucking... all that sort of thing." And it, you know, I still hear that now. If I sort of walk past a Sunday League or a five-a-side or something that's in the distance and I hear like... it takes me back to Nan's flat. But the organ, they had an organ, like one of those proper 70s things, you know, of all the little things you can put down, and I'd go, "Come on, Bill, play the organ." All I really wanted to do was play it myself, but even at that age, I knew there was a bit of give and take, and I'd have to listen to him knocking out his fucking Stranger on the Shore or whatever. And it was amazing. They'd sit there all fucking... This bloke was a docker, right, and he'd learnt a couple of chords, and he'd sit there, and my nan would be like, "Oh, I love this one, Bill." "Oh, I love this one, Billy." And then it'd go... And my old man would just be totally befreaked by it. What the fuck? Such a coming together of many weird cultures, and again, like most things in the 70s, accidentally psychedelic. And if you look at the patterns, like my mother's house is the same. The wall at my mum's house, she's got this sort of... it looks like it's got doilies all over it, like, you know, the old snowflakes you made as a kid at school. It's like covered in them. It's pattern intense at my mother's house. Her three-piece suite is proper trippy. It's like all these spirals and swerves and whoa, what's going on? The carpet is mayhem. The ceiling is like that sort of combed artex. I used to live there and it was much the same as it is now, and I'd come home like after a few blotters, walk into my mother's and it would like be like taking another 6. Wow. So many patterns. It's like, "Oh my God, I'm going tessellation crazy. Too much repetition." And my nan's, of course, was much the same, but a little bit more emphasis on the oranges, a little bit more the earthy browns, whereas my mother's is, to her credit, slightly more bluey, slightly more green. I think it's important to take note of the interior design of your family and your family's family. I really haven't got it in me. I'm not good at being ill. Don't do well. I get proper full of pity. Why me? Why? Well, I know why me. Because, well, you know, I'm not buying that, actually. I do actually look after myself. I do. Fuck you. I drink water. I go to the gym. I go to the sauna. Look, I'm having some now. Sorry, that wasn't actually intentional. Something horrible about an accidental burp, isn't there? Took me back to my nan, you see. But yeah, going over there and the organ and all that accidental psychedelia, what a time, what a time. Oh, I'll tell you what, I remember the other day talking to my mate. You know my mate I keep telling you about, I'm going to get him on to tell some of his stories. He's gone. Gone. He'll probably be listening to this. You're gone, mate. You're fucking gone. Munching all those fucking pills all the time. You disappear, I tell you. I've seen it 1,000 times. You want to use drugs, that's fine, son, but you got to make a fucking effort to stay alive. You can't just disappear. Well, you can, but you're worth more than that. But I'll tell you what, I remembered the other day talking to him. The Book of Revelations. I know that's Old Spice, but it was something before Old Spice, and then it was in The Omen. Remember being a kid and watching The Omen. Fuck me! Terrified. I was absolutely terrified. I could deal with stuff like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, no problem. I could deal with all the zombie films, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, all that thing, no problem. But bring all that fucking Shasta into it, all that Omen, all that, they'd like give it an artificial, like not an artificial, well it obviously was, but they'd give it a sense of history. It's in the Bible, and the devil will be mine, and the 666 he will not be able to buy and sell until and there's that bit in the first one one, or the second one, where they go into the underground cavern and they see that picture of Damien on the wall with the fucking snakes coming. Oh, mate, I was like, ah! And I'll tell you the other one, the Amityville Horror. Oh, my fucking God. No. And then you got the Hammer House of Horror, the English stuff. Do you remember Hammer? And there'd be like things on telly, and there's that one, The House That Bled to Death. Oh, fuck, man. And they're having a kids' party, and the bloke that lived there beforehand killed loads of people and put them in the pipe in, and all the pipes start shaking, and it showers the whole party in claret. I was like, I don't want to live. And it got to the point where I was like, obviously, I was about to say I was living at home. I was like 10. Does that come? I was still at home at 10, you know, things hadn't turned out too well. And I'd stay up at night on my own, and there'd be adverts for horror films, and if I didn't get to the telly in time quick enough to turn it off, I wouldn't be able to go near the telly. But the problem with that was I'd have to suffer the advert and be like, have you ever been scared? I'd be like, no! Yeah, fingers in my ear, but also that weird. There was like a fight between my natural curiosity and my cultural fear. I'd like having fingers in my ears, but I'd be sort of, I'd need to know when it was finished as well, so I'd be sort of peeking at the screen. Have you ever been scared? Ah! Don't be. Ah! Because fear is something coming round the corner. Ah! Hey, Johnny! Ah! In cinemas soon. Oh, my God, I hated it. Terrible time. Terrible. It was terrible, which, of course, is a contraction of terrible and awful. You can use that. It's preferable to awful, which is the opposing contraction, so stick to terrible. Weirdly, though, I remember thinking I was going to be terrified for my whole life. How strange is that? Very scared as a child. I'll get back to the Book of Revelations in a minute. But I was very scared as a child. And when I watch films like that, and like The Exorcist and Amityville Horror and the Omen films, and, you know, you had to, because you'd end up bunking school, you'd be around someone's house and be like, yeah, should we watch The Omen? And you'll see the fucking fear on everyone's face. It was like, no one actually wanted to, but it was like, this is rites of passage stuff. This is part of the tribe, isn't it? Come on, who's gonna do it? Who's gonna bottle? Let's establish who's the alpha male here. Let's establish who's the wanker. Let's establish who's the carer. You know, we were establishing group dynamics. And I was the one who was shit scared. Absolutely, just sitting there thinking, this is going to haunt me. And of course, then you get into your Ouija board phase. And, yeah, you know, we've been through this. Ouija board was a board game. It wasn't like some historical thing of contacting the dead. I think it was Milton and Bradley. We've talked about this. But we'd do Ouija boards, and of course, it'll always be round my drum. And the problem with that was, when we finished doing it, some fucking clever cunt would go, yeah, you know what, Chris, because the glass turned over at the end, the spirits are in your bedroom. You're going to be possessed. And I was terrified. And it was beautiful. When I got to about 14 years old, I suddenly wasn't scared. I was drunk. I suddenly made a link I didn't know I was going to make. But going back in time, right, the Book of Revelations, let me tell you what happened. This is a horrible story. So, you know, everyone... Hang on, I'm going to just put some juice in my vape. Not a... Right, I'm just having a lug of this. Hang on, I told you I'm ill. You have to, you know, I'm doing alright. It's fucking 4 a.m. and I'm up doing this for you. I'm doing it for you. It's for me, it's for you, it's for we, it's for us. If you want to hear my podcast, then you must plug in your ears. I will tell you about my Nan's flat and my fears. Nothing like a lung full of nicotine and custard flavour steam to help with your influenza. Influenza's nothing to be scared of. Prince Charming. Loved Adam and the Ants. Okay, done a gig for him in the end, Adam Ant. Stuart Goddard. It was weird. He had a hat on which had hair stuck into it, like those Rastafarian hats idiots wear at Glastonbury, so that when he took his hat off, his hair went with it and he was actually bald. Oh my God. Not charming. Not charming. Baldness is nothing to be scared of. Fucking great albums, though. That Kings of the Wild Frontier. Oh, man. A new old family, wild nobility. We are a family. Soz. Right, not soz. So, everyone, most people had a religious friend, didn't they? Like a Christian. I did. I grew up in a mainly white, working class school. I think we had one black kid, couple of Indian kids. Hey, how'd you say cock? Puddu. How'd you say this? Pudu. Why'd you say fuck off wanker? Pudu. We had a handful of Asians who spoke a bit of Urdu. We had one black kid, and the rest of us was white trash. That's it. And I had one religious friend. His name was Adrian. And hang on, another vape because it's bringing back fears. Adrian. Right, so I wasn't interested at all in the church. I did end up going a few times. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But Adrian, I had to go and meet him at the back of the Pentecostal church on East Hill. He didn't need to know that, but, you know, I like to contextualise it. I was born just down the road from that. How sweet's that? East Hill, can't remember the name of the hospital, but that's where I was born. My dad carried me home to my mother's house where she still lives. Oh! But the church was a bit further up than that, the Pentecostal. And I'd have to meet him out the back there. So picture it, I'm about 11 years old and I'm just waiting. And I don't give a shit. I'm an atheist then, but I don't know I am. I just don't believe in anything. And of course, I'm sitting outside thinking, I wish this cunt didn't go to church. It's well boring waiting for him. And of course, some vicar, preacher, pastor, fuck knows, none of them are in the Bible. They've made that shit up like the rest of their cack. You'll see why I may have a little bit of a chip on my shoulder regarding the church. One of them's come out dressed in his silly Halloween costume. And he's gone, hi, are you waiting for no, he went, hi, are you waiting for someone? And I was like, yeah, I'm waiting for Adrian. And he went, no shit, to me, 12 years old, 11 or something. He went, are you sure you're not waiting for Jesus? Are you sure you're not waiting for Jesus? Are you waiting for Jesus? Are you waiting for Jesus? Are you sure you're not waiting for the Jesus? Are you waiting for the Jesus? And I was like, no, I'm obviously not. No, look at me trying to pretend I was an arrogant, cocky cunt when I was a kid. I went, nah, of course I'm not waiting for Jesus. Do one, pastor. I've got things to do. Don't you know? I already done told you time. I ain't got no crack for you, bruv. Jog on. No, I just went, no, I'm not waiting for Jesus. I'm waiting for Adrian. And he went, have you thought about Jesus? I'm like, no, not really. My mum and that go to church for weddings and shit. I did say that as well. And he went, well, you might want to think about letting the Lord into your life. And I was like, well, at the moment I'm just waiting for Adrian. He went, this is the bullshit. This is the abuse the church dishes out willy-nilly and in the name of doing good. He went to me, check this fucker out, to a 12-year-old. He went, have you heard of the Book of Revelations? And of course, with me head filled with all that omen shit and all the exorcists and that, as soon as he said the book of, do you know what I mean? It's got that, it brings with it some kind of historical gravitas. I don't know. Obviously, I didn't know it was historical gravitas as a kid. I'm getting awfully confused what I think now and what I thought then, but it brought something. It had a bit of, it had something, and I was like, no, what's the Book of Revelations? He went, let me tell you. He said, when all the prophets are dead, and immediately I remember, it's just happened, all the fucking hairs went up on the back of my little prepubescent adolescent neck. He went, when all the prophets are dead. I didn't even know what a prophet was, but obviously I'd heard the word in all these horror films. He went to me, imagine he went, when all the prophets are dead. He went, when all the prophets are dead, he went, Jesus is coming back to earth. And he's going to take all the believers to heaven for everlasting life in paradise. And I was like, well, that's all right. Is Adrian ready? And he went, but the people who don't believe are going to stay here. And I was like, right. And he went, and they're going to live in eternal hell and damnation. I was like, And I started getting a fear, and I was like, So how do we know when all the prophets are dead? Well, he said, we don't exactly, but it's kind of happening. And you've got to remember at the time, you've got the Cold War kicking off, there's like imminent nuclear devastation threat. You've got the IRA mainline campaign. There's a lot of shit going down. To an 11, 12-year-old, it's a lot of dramas, a lot of fear. I remember going to bed crying, thinking that I was going to have a nuclear war. When you're getting nonsense through your letterbox telling you to paint your front door white and lean it up against the wall at 45 degrees to help reflect the fucking blast of a nuclear bomb. Oh, that'll help, thanks. And all that shit. And when there's things like Threads on telly, you're like, this is what would happen if a nuclear bomb went off in Sheffield. There's people pissing their pants in shops. All that Cold War stuff. Anyone who lived through it will know what the fear that was like. And the IRA mainland campaign. pain. I was up in town buying a mod Parker when I was 11 with Pete and Veronica Downing. They bought me a mod Parker for my birthday, and the bomb went off in Harrods. And so it was kind of an on-top time. And so he said to me, this fucking vicar, pastor, preacher, prick, said to me, he said, well, you know, with all these bombs going off and with the nuclear thing, it's kind of, a lot of people think it's just imminent. I was like, oh, no. And I started getting scared, which is what he wanted, of course. And I was like, so what's going to happen? He said, well, all the believers will rise up. Jesus will rise them up into heaven. And the rest of the people will be down here, and there'll be murder and rape and pillage. And there'll be bombs going off all the time, and there'll be people throwing bricks through your window and coming in and killing your family. No shit. He told me this. 11 years old? You wouldn't tell an adult that shit. And I was terrified. And I was like, well, hang on a minute. Excuse me. I was like, hang on a minute. My mum's a good woman. He went, does she worship the Lord? Does she worship the Lord? I was like, no. I said, she goes to church. He went, when? I said, well, births, deaths, christenings, weddings, all. And, well, I know a christening is a birth. I got it wrong. I'm getting stressed because the book of Revelation still has an effect on me. And he was like, well, he said, that doesn't count. He went, your mum's not a good person. What a cunt. And I was like, hang on, no, but she is. I said, I know she is. And I really thought my mum was. Well, she is. It wasn't I thought it. My mum is, always has been great. And my old man. And it's just nonsense. But my mum really was. She was really like the milk of human kindness. Wasn't too good at emotions. But I don't blame her for that. Her parents were pissheads. Her sisters were pissheads. She had to look after them. Grew up in a boozer. She never had it. She didn't know how to give it. But what she done fucking well. And I wasn't having it from this fucking fancy dress cunt telling me that she was going to get murdered by the IRA, essentially, because it said so in the Bible. And he went into it, he got the fucking book out, he was reading from it. Can you imagine? Intense, the glossolalia, and devils come and walk with this. I was like, oh no, drop me out. And it was too much, and he didn't stop, he kept going, and he knew it. And I was going, and it got to the point where I was like, and this is obviously what he wanted. Cunt. Got to the point where I'm going, what can I do? I was terrified. I said, what can I do then? How am I going to stop my mum from being murdered by the IRA? Insanity. And he was like, well, this is the beauty of it. Jesus is our saviour. And I was trapped, I was conned, I was tricked, I was bought into it. Because I said to him, I've heard that, I've heard about Jesus being our saviour, but I didn't really get what it meant. He went, well, now you know. Now you know. When hell comes to earth, Jesus is going to save you. But you have to praise him. You have to love him. You have to turn your life over to him. And I thought, right. I was like, all right, okay. And if I do that, are we going to be all right? Is my mum going to be all right? I was really fixating on my mum. Well, sorry, Freud. But you know what I mean? It was I sort of saw her as a symbol of this contradiction. I was thinking, hang on, she's so nice. She's so lovely. She wouldn't hurt a fly, my mum. And I was thinking, how comes fucking Jerry Adams is going to come round and rape her? How's this going to happen? I couldn't work it out. And he said, you know, praise the Lord, get your mum and dad and brother and everyone you know to come to church and worship the Lord fucking Jesus. Hang on, quick vape break. So, I've gone home, fucked Adrian off. Fuck you, Adrian, you're boring anyway. I've got the fucking end of the world to think about. Walked home, ran home, got in, and I've gone, Mum, and she's gone, what is wrong with you? You look awful. And I went, listen, and so I told her the story. Oh, wow. She went mad. And she went to me, don't tell your father. And I was like, yeah, but he needs to know, because if he doesn't come to church with us, we're all fucking gonna die. It's gonna be hell. They're gonna come in and cut our heads off, and they're gonna chain us up and fuck us. I didn't say that, but you know, it was in my head, and I sort of told her the distilled version. She said, if you tell your dad, he's gonna go around that church and tear fucking strips off of that cunt. And you know what? To this day, I wish I'd have waited till he got home and said, oh, Dad, that vicar has just put the fear of God literally up me. Please go round there and smash the fucker's head in. Cheeky cunt. And I went to bed in tears for about 5-6 months. I remember every night, and of course, classic confirmation bias. Everywhere I looked, everything I read on telly, it was all about Jesus and God, and it all made sense. And I'd see the fucking crucifix and his suffering and all this, and it was I could not get over it. And I'll tell you what, when I don't know what happened. I think I ended up becoming interested in pussy. Pussy saves the world again. I think it was a little bit more interested, and to be honest with you, the Book of Revelations wasn't very good currency to pull birds at the school disco. Hello, love. Yeah, you look nice. Heard of the Book of Revelations? I just dropped it out. Fuck you. Fuck the church. You nutters. You're psychos. But I'll tell you what. If I ever have children and anything like that happen to my children, they'll literally be able to pay. I'll rain that Book of Revelations down right on their congregation. Like I say, I ended up going to a little church club only because they used to, classic bastards, they used to have like barbecues and they'd take us rock climbing and ice skating, basically just rounding up the poor kids. You can't afford to enjoy your lives and you can barely eat. We'll give you food and we'll take you out, but you've got to listen to the Lord. Oh, fuck off. We used to go to this church and it was like a modern church with a microphone and all that, and the cables used to run past where we'd sit, and we worked out quite soon that if you sort of kicked the cable where the connector was, it'd go so every time he was about to talk, I'd be treading on it, and he'd be like, oh, sorry, there seems to be something wrong. Anyway, praise and of course, all the girls that went to the church club, they were a little bit loose, to say the least. It was really weird. It was like almost like a Dickensian collection of waifs and strays. Like, you go into the church club tomorrow? Yeah, I quite fancy that bird. Brilliant. And I never bought any of that church nonsense since. And even at that club I didn't. I just wanted to go rock climbing. I remember I was up the top and he said, don't forget, when you throw the ropes in the carabiner down, make sure there's no one down below, and say, rope below. And this bloke, Roy Hill, he was a proper woolly jumper, touched the girls, made them cry, and I just threw the fucking ropes on his head, and the carabiner split his head open, and as he fell down on the floor, I looked over and went, rope below. I felt very bad at the time. Didn't at all. Those fuckers had it coming. Awful times, but beautiful. Okay, look, listen, you horrible people, I've got to go. I'm not well. It's now fucking getting light outside. I've got to go to sleep. I'm going to Cambodia next Friday, so hopefully the podcast will be from Cambodia. If I decide that's a poor idea, I will record a couple during the week and slowly. I can't talk, and when you can't talk, it's not very good for a podcast, is it? I'm going to Cambodia on Friday. I will hopefully somehow get you free. I'm out there for 3 weeks. I'm sorry. Are you stuck here for 3 weeks while I'm on the frickin' beach? I might even maybe I'll record them on my iPhone and then I'll just upload them there, and then I might do it from the beach on Christmas Day. Imagine. I call this one the rubbing it in dose. Look after yourselves and the people you love. I'll see you later. Much later.